We're joined on the line by Shane Supple. Evening, Shane.
Evening, lads.
So it is the eve of the League of Ireland season. We will get onto that in just a moment, but we do want to talk to you about Declan Rice because you were in and around the Ireland squad the last time Declan Rice was in and around the Ireland squad. What did you say to him?
Nothing. I actually didn't speak to Declan at all.
It was the unfriendliness of some of the people in the squad he mentioned.
Maybe it's because he was English. I didn't speak to him. I'm not sure.
It's a deep burn. It's a deep, deep burn. Was there? Listen, it's a hard topic to talk about because anything you say around the incidents at that time with Roy Keane and Harry Arter and John Walters, they become this huge story. Like, it does feel as though it may have been a perfect storm at that stage, that England are starting to do something under Gareth Southgate at a World Cup and Ireland is an absolute mess. Like, was there anything you saw at the time that could suggest that was the case?
No, nothing at all. I said I was in and out of the camp a bit as well with playing for Bohs at the time, so I wasn't around when a lot of the stuff that apparently happened. So, but I wouldn't have said that Declan was getting itchy feet or looking to move on elsewhere. So.
Yeah, it's just massively disappointing, I guess, more than anything else when we're trying to look ahead to what's going to happen over the next little while. Let's talk League of Ireland then. It's all getting underway tomorrow night. You won't be involved. You're our Bohemians Player of the Year, but you've had to hang up the boots because of injury. Just 31. On a night like this, what are your emotions like?
I'd love to be going out and playing tomorrow night, but I'll be down there supporting the lads. I'm watching the game. I have a bit of work this year in the League of Ireland on the media side of things, so I'm going to be keeping my eye out on things and getting to as many games as possible as well. But it'll be completely different now for me. It won't be easy sitting there tomorrow night watching them. Definitely not.
We'll get you in the studio hopefully over the next little while and chat about your career, because there's so many interesting tangents to it, from being involved with Dublin, from retiring early, coming back, playing League of Ireland, playing Leinster Senior League and all of that. So we might just talk actually what you think is going to happen this season, because you say you've signed up with Air Sports, you're going to be part of their commentary team. Like, what are you expecting this season? The big question mark obviously is how big a loss Stephen Kenny will be to Dundalk.
I actually don't think he'd be that big a loss, to be honest. I think with the guys that are there, the squad they've kept together, I think a lot of the time that Dundalk team runs itself. They've a lot of great leaders in the group there as well. So, and again, Vinny coming in with Rory Higgins and Stevie O'Donnell sticking around, I don't think it's going to be a big transition for them as people might think.
Shane, you would have been involved in countless games against Dundalk, and they are the clear favourites this year. I mean, you mentioned the players that they've kept. Like, what is it about them that's so good or so difficult to play against, or what sets them apart from the other sides in the league?
They're so well drilled. Again, from since Stephen's gone in there over the last 4 or 5 years, they've lost players, but they've managed to recruit well and get good guys in that have transitioned into the group seamlessly. So again, they're the most professional outfit within the league. When you play against them physically, you see that the difference coming up against them on a Friday night to some of the other teams in the league. That's the biggest thing I've noticed from playing Dundalk, and I think they've taken it to another level again. I know that some of the facilities they've improved upon in Oriel, maybe not the stand itself or the ground itself, but some of the work they've done for the players and making sure that they have everything they need to be the best on a Friday night, from what I'm hearing, is unbelievable for the League of Ireland football, I suppose.
Any sense from pre-season that Vinnie Perth is going to try and do anything majorly different from Stephen Kenny?
I don't really think so. I mean, they went for continuity. I mean, that was the word that was mentioned. They were very adamant that they didn't want to rock the boat too much. I mean, Shane alluded to it there. I mean, they have spent a fair bit of money on the day-to-day sort of training facilities behind the scenes. So when the players went back in on the first day, they were in a different environment. It wasn't like back to where we were before, and the manager that was there was gone. It was very much, here's some new and exciting stuff here that's going to make it a better place to go, as Shane mentioned. So I think formation-wise and stuff, I mean, I saw them playing Cork last week to play the same 11 as the cup final, pretty much the same person. similar approach, I guess. And I don't think there's going to be dramatic changes, but they have brought in some good players. Sean Murray, who was at Watford, Jordan Flores at Wigan, who apparently is very good, very impressive.
Where does he play?
He's a midfielder, sort of he's wearing number 6. He's sort of a left-footed midfielder.
Stephen O'Donnell replacement.
I think some of the attributes they seem to think that he might share them. So they're going to be very strong. They're going to be very difficult to catch. But there are other teams that have made some good signings as well.
Yeah, who? Because I remember when we were maybe talking for an hour after the cup final, this general sense of Cork was that they were cutting their wage bill. They were going to really struggle to make the investment in the squad to keep up that challenge, the excitement of the challenge that's been between Dundalk and Cork. Has that been the case over pre-season?
Yeah, they've probably lost a couple of players. I mean, Kieran Sadler has gone to Doncaster. Some of their long-serving players, sort of Stephen Beattie gone to America, Jimmy Keohane to Rochdale, likes of Johnny Dunleavy to Sligo. Actually, quite a few of them have left the league though, and they're still been doing business in the last week. They've signed a guy on loan from Rochdale today, a guy from Gillingham, Liam Nash, could have been on Love Island a couple of years ago, went for pro football instead. Now he's ended up in League of Ireland. There you go. You can take it in any direction, life really.
I thought there was a great pun coming there or something.
There wasn't. No, Love Island to Photo Island, you know.
Almost.
Almost. Another guy from Brighton as well. But they're a bit of an unknown quantity maybe in the attacking areas. It's more so Shamrock Rovers bringing in Jack Byrne, such an exciting arrival I spoke about a bit earlier this week, and Aaron McAniff from Derry. St Pat's bringing in Chris Forrester and Mikey Drennan. That maybe it might be the clubs in Dublin that also challenge Dundalk. I don't think Cork are going to go as far back as people think, but I think that maybe the Dublin clubs this year might actually push Dundalk a bit more than they have.
Jack Byrne and Chris Forrester are probably the two signings that people are getting most excited about, Shane. Like Jack Byrne in particular, when he was in and around the Ireland squad and he was over in Cambour, and it felt as though he was destined for great things, and one thing and another stopped him. Like if he gets anywhere near that type of form, from what you saw from Shamrock Rovers last season, is it going to take a huge leap for them to put some pressure on Dundalk?
I think it's going to take a huge leap for anyone. I think looking at how things have progressed over the off season, I think Shamrock Rovers are in the best position to possibly get close to Dundalk. I would say I'd have them down for second place this year. Definitely Dundalk again winning the league. Of all the other teams, a lot of transition in terms of management and players. Shamrock Rovers have added some really good players, especially in the middle of the park. With Aaron McAniff as well. I think he's the big one for them, because he knows the league inside out, and you'd expect him to hit the ground running. Jack Byrne, a lot of experience for such a young age, but again, League of Ireland football can be a different kettle of fish for a lot of the lads coming back from the UK. So it'll be interesting to see how he hits the ground running. But looking around the league, there's a lot of exciting players and technically very gifted players. So hopefully that proves true when the league kicks off tomorrow night. From
your experience of it and from what you've seen of players who've come back from England into the League of Ireland, what is the one thing they struggle with?
I think how physical the league is one of the biggest things. A lot of the guys that have come back probably haven't played men's football, played 23s, academy football over in the UK, so they haven't had that experience of playing against, men week in, week out, and playing for points when they actually matter on a Friday night. So, and fans as well there that are demanding and expecting results. So I think there's a combination of things, but definitely the physicality of the league is one thing I think lads struggle with coming back from the UK.
How do you feel about Bows then, Shane? I mean, they have brought in a lot of people in that category that you've just mentioned because they lost the experience of yourself and Ian Morris and others, and Dan Casey to Cork and so on. I mean, their recruitment has been heavy in terms of bringing lads home. I mean, is that just a natural gamble they have to take in their situation?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone's aware of the last couple of years with the budget that Keith's working off down there, and some of the rabbits he has to pull out of his hat, a week or every year, and he's had to do it again this year. I was listening to the podcast earlier on, and Ian Morris was alluding to that, back on the back end of last season and the run we went on, and you're looking at building for next year, and finally maybe we're able to, keep everyone and add a couple of lads to the squad and really kick on and push for Europe. And then obviously a few lads have retired and gone on to other clubs, and that they feel they're going to progress there rather than staying at Bows maybe. And it's just disappointing. Definitely from Keith Long's point of view and Trevor's, the work they put in it's just starting afresh, and you just don't know. Again, pre-season, you're not sure. I've seen some of the results and that, and you just don't know what's going to happen for Bohs this year. And I hope they'll be okay, but you're looking at the players they brought in, not a lot of experience there at all, apart from the likes of Derek Pender, who's still around, and Keith Buckley, and you're looking to those lads to step up. Derek always does. Keith Buckley, now this year, it's a big year for him to step up and fill some of the roles that lads, have left behind.
Shane, you've just stepped out of the league, but I mean, you're obviously still very interested and sort of passionate about it. I mean, where do you feel the league is at now generally? Because as players or ex-players, you're probably listening to some of the debates that have gone on in recent weeks about maybe Niall Quinn's plans, maybe will the clubs be running the league next year, because we're not really sure where things stand with the FAI. How do you feel generally about this debate that's going on, and what would you like to see happen this year aside from whatever happens on the pitch?
I just love to see something concrete happen, really, and all this talk of this is going to happen and these people are getting involved and we're going to have this and we're going to break away from the FAI and everything's going to be great. I just love to have something, concrete that's been really thought out and strategically planned, that we can move on, because we're not. Sometimes you think we're miles away. I think the players, the quality in the league is definitely getting better. Facilities are miles behind. That's one area we need to improve. It's going to take money. Development of players is definitely getting better, and the new structures coming in for underage is only going to help, I feel. And lads staying here longer before going across to the UK is only going to benefit, Irish football in general, I think. But I just love to see someone come in with a genuine plan that they've looked into and done their homework on, and the right people involved, and it's not all, bells and whistles and no knickers,
What is the most common complaint then that you found last season within the dressing room from players in the league? What they would actually like to see that would benefit them?
I'd love to see lads paid 52 weeks of the year. It would definitely be one thing, I think, for guys, and that uncertainty coming to the end of the season. When you just don't know where you're going to be at. Are you going to make it to Christmas? I think that would be definitely one side I'd like to see. Again, facilities, I'd love to see them improved. That's one thing. You go to certain grounds around the country, and Bohs is one. It's got a lot of history, and I love the place, but it definitely needs a facelift and so many grounds around. And I think that would help attract people in, and maybe investment as well into clubs when we've got better facilities like that, and you can bring the kids and the family on a Friday night. I think that's one deterrent at the moment.
It's coming for Dalymount though, isn't it?
Well, it is coming for Dalymount. Although Shane was previously nostalgic and didn't want Dalymount to be changed, but maybe now he's just getting a bit older and more mature, and he wants somewhere comfortable to sit when he goes to a match,
Well, that's premium seats or something like that maybe would do me nicely.
A sort of Manchester City style tunnel club or something.
Just rest his hip there, rest his body as he goes.
It's perfectly understandable. So are you both very much together on Dundalk to retain the title?
Well, I still think they're rock solid, yeah. I find it hard to see who can get enough points to overtake them.
Goal scoring wise, and looking at teams who can... So Dundalk, they haven't lost any players. They've kept Pat Hooban. There's a recognised goal scorer there. Of the other contenders, do they have them?
Yeah, I mean, Mikey Drennan's gone to St. Pat's, and that's going to be an interesting one, because he was at Aston Villa when he was younger, at that time when we had that big Villa Irish contingent at Villa, and Graham Burke, and quite a few of them, they've just had to take a few steps back. Now Mikey obviously has spoken about depression and more serious issues that he struggled with when he came back from England, and towards the end of his time in England he took his time away from football, went back with his mates in Kilkenny hurling, but then came back to Sligo Rovers last year, looked to be just getting his mojo back towards the end of the season. I think Cork wanted him, other clubs wanted him, but St. Pat's did get him, and I think if they are going to make a step forward this year, he could be central to it, because there is a dearth of really good goal scorers, like real 20 goal a season strikers, and he has to prove he can do it. But if he's fully right, I think he's got a good chance.
All right, good stuff, Dan. Shane, thank you as well. Best of luck with the new gig with Ayr.
Thanks very much, lads.
We'll talk to you again soon.